guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig, it is 9 o'clock and it's time for a video. Now today, I've got a confession to make. I got to tell you the truth. I think a lot of you have been aware of this for a while if you've been watching this channel for any length of time, but it's fine to publicly admit that I have a problem. My name's Craig Petty and I am an ACAANaholic. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. I can't help myself. I love the any card at any number plot. I always have. There's a lot of magicians out there that go, well, any card at any number, it's not a very good plot. It's not a very good trick because you're just dealing to a number and there's no, it's not very impressive. I don't like dealing tricks. Well, here's the thing. I don't like dealing tricks either, but I love me an ACAAN. And I think the reason is there's a lot of theatre involved in it. There's a lot of drama involved in it. If you're very clear about how the, about what the plot is and the impossibility behind the plot, then the dealing to the number, it can be really, really genuinely very, very, very dramatic. You know, the amount of times I'll do an ACAAN and when you get to that number and that card's there, they're like, no, that's not possible. That's not possible. That's not right. It is right. It's absolutely phenomenal. I love the any card at any number plot. I really do. That's it. I love the any card at any number plot. That's everything I've got to say about that. And a few people have asked me, because I've created quite a few ACAANs over the years, a lot of people have asked me, what's my favourite ACAAN that I've ever created? And I sat down and I thought, I actually don't know how many ACAANs I have created. So I went through all of my notes. It took me a couple of hours. I went through all of my products, all of my notes, absolutely everything. Turns out I've created 147 versions of any card at any number. Now that includes versions of any card at any number that you will never see. You'll never see the light of day. Versions that were kind of a bit pants, that weren't even good enough to perform. When I tried and took it out, it just didn't work. But I've got over 100 versions of any card at any number. They're actually really good and they're all different methods. And what I thought I'd do is I'd do a video of my top 10 favourite any card at any numbers. Now, for those of you that don't know, what is an any card at any number? The whole idea is someone names a card, someone names a number, and the card appears at that number. Now, the ACAAN, as we know it today, is kind of a derivative or an offshoot of the burglass effect. Obviously, we all know David Burglass, one of the greatest magicians of all time that ever lived. David Burglass created what we know as the burglass effect. And the burglass effect, very simply, was a deck of cards is placed on the table. Someone names a card, someone names a number. The card is dealt, the deck is dealt, and the card appears at that number. That is the burglass effect. And nobody really knows how Burglass did it. No one's really 100% sure. But ever since then, magicians have been trying to find that holy grail. They've been trying to find a way of achieving that effect, the burglass effect, the any card appearing at any number. Now, there's a couple of things that I want to point out. Number one, a lot of the time, people or magicians, they confuse card at any numbers with any card at any number. A true any card at any number should be any card is named, any number is named, and the card appears at that number. If it's a predicted card at number, so a number's named but a card isn't, it's more of a card at any number, not an any card at any number. A lot of any card at any numbers that are marketed these days, they're not ACAANs, they're actually cans. Now, Mark Paul, who is one of the greatest mentalists of all time, he actually wrote about the conditions that an ACAAN has to hit in order to be considered the burglass effect. And there's several conditions, and I'll go through them because I'm going to talk about, very honestly, my top 10 ACAANs, and I'm going to talk about the pros and the cons of each ACAAN, because no card trick is perfect. You have to take, if the perfect card trick doesn't exist, when you're creating any sort of trick, you have to make sacrifices. You have to take things and you go, well, you know what? This would make it the perfect trick, but I'm fine if this doesn't happen, right? Because if we could do real magic, then we would, but we can't. So it's really important I go through these. So the first thing that Mark Paul said is it has to be a totally free choice of any card. So in other words, no mental ambiguity, no, right, okay, pick a card, right, okay, now that's any card. It has to be a freely named any card. Second of all, it has to be a freely named any position in the deck. So no mental gymnastics, no, right, take two digits, add them together, divide that by 6. It has to be any number. So any card, any number. Third of all, the deck has to be out of the case and on the table from the very, very beginning. Out the case is very important because a lot of really cool ACAANs, like the Grail and ACAAN's ACAAN, the move happens when the cards are taken out of the box. So the cards have to be out of the box from the very beginning. That's number 3. Number 4, the cards cannot be changed at all, invisibly or otherwise. The order of the cards has to stay the same. I think that's 4. The next one, number 5, I think it is, you have to deal down to the exact position. So it's not like you pick 26 and at the 27th position, you have to deal down to that position. And then finally, the spectator has to do the dealing. So the spectator has to deal the cards. And there is one other thing, the cards are turned face up as you deal, so they can see that they're all different and that there's no gimmickry or anything. That is what Mark Paul would say. If all of those stipulations were hit, then a trick would be considered the burglass effect. And there's no ACAAN that has hit all of those, or even the majority of those. Sacrifices have to be made by every creator. Now, I'm not going to talk about other people's ACAANs. I might do a video in the future about other people's ACAANs. This is purely about my ACAANs, and I'll even reference where you can learn them from. I'm going to not include McCann, because it's not my trick. But I know somebody will reference it down below. So McCann is an amazing card at any number. It's not really in any card at any number. It's a card at any number. And it's amazing. It's absolutely fantastic. And it was originally on Modern Mentalism. And it got re-released as a download through Penguin Magic a couple of years ago. And I did the download for them. I did the performances. I did the tutorial. But it's not mine. It's not my trick. So I can't really include it in my list. So I'm not going to include it in my list. But these are, in my opinion, my top 10 ACAANs that I've ever created. I want to know down below if you guys have done any of these or seen me perform any of these. Let's go for it. So I've got a pack of cards here.
Yes.
And I mean, you can see they're all there, they're all different. There's 52 cards altogether. I'll give them a shuffle. The interesting thing about shuffling the cards is every time you shuffle, it changes the position of every single card in the deck. Now there's an urban legend amongst magicians, and it's called the ACAAN, otherwise known as the burglass effect. Now ACAAN stands for any card at any number, and the idea of this is that somebody names a card, somebody names a number, and the card that they think of is at the position that they name. Now, the reason it's an urban legend is because this was originally created as a concept by a guy called David Burglass, who's a magician that's over 90 now, very old guy. And he was known as the only person ever to be able to perform this, hence it's called the burglass effect. And as an interesting side note, David Burglass is actually the father of Marvin Burglass, who you might know from Marvin's Magic. He owns Marvin's Magic, so it's all connected.
You learn something new every day.
For years, for years and years and years, people have been trying to replicate the burglass effect. And people come close, people don't actually manage to do it. And this is the way I perform the burglass effect. So there's 2 parts to it. And the first part is naming a number, second part is naming a card. Now, I find that if you ask someone name a number between 1 and 52, they tend to go for a really random number, but that's not the case with a card. Most people psychologically are influenced to go for normally an ace, maybe an ace of spades or a queen of hearts. In fact, true story, so many people name a queen of hearts. I actually had a queen of hearts tattooed on my arm. So if I say to somebody, name a card, and they go queen of hearts, I go, ta-da. So we're going to make it completely random. From a shuffled deck of cards, and all the cards are different, as you can see, I'm just going to have you touch one. You can touch any one you want to. It's totally up to you. That one right there, are you sure?
Yep.
So have a look at, because here's the thing, you can change your mind if you want to. Are you sure you're happy with that card?
I'll stick with it.
Take it, show the camera, do not show me.
Yep.
Okay, and pop it onto the pack. We're going to lose that card right there into the middle of the deck. Now, obviously, you saw me cut it roughly into the middle, so you know it's halfway down-ish right now. So I'm going to give the cards a shuffle. I'm going to let you choose how many. How many shuffles would you like to give? 1, 2, or 3?
2.
2. So that was 1, and this is another one, like that. Do you want me to give them one more cut, or are we okay as we are?
We're good.
Okay.
We're good.
So the other part of this is now I have no idea what your card is. I have no idea where it is. You can literally have touched any one of these. So the next part is there's 52 cards in the deck. When I snap my fingers, I want to name a position from 1 to 52. Bearing in mind, I have to deal to it, so let's not make it too boring. But it's completely up to you. You can have any position that you want.
19.
19. Are you sure? Because that's my IQ.
I thought it was lower than that.
No. Are you sure you want 19?
Yeah.
Because I don't want saying later on I made you pick 19. You're happy with 19?
I'll stick with 19.
Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 is that card right there. Now, if you'd have said 20, you would have got the 5 of clubs. Was that your card?
No.
If you'd have said 18, you would have got the 7 of diamonds. Was that your card?
It was not.
If you'd have said any card further down, you could have had any one of these. No one could have known what your card was. But that is the card in the 19th position. You haven't said the card out loud. At this point, you haven't told me. You've shown them, but you haven't said anything. But that's the 19th card. All I want you to do is tell me, how did I do?
You were spot on.
Wow, there you go.
I almost got the same queen.
I know, right? How cool's that? It's called the
really good.
Mirage ACAAN. In 10th place, we have the Mirage ACAAN. That's right, we have the Mirage ACAAN. Now, you can find this on the Mirage Deck project. And for years, I've done this. It uses a Mirage Deck, hence the Mirage Deck project and the Mirage ACAAN. And the Mirage Deck project was put out by ACAAN Magic. You can only get the Mirage Deck project through ACAAN Magic. And you'll see a live performance of me doing this both close up and on stage. For me, this is an amazing stage performance because here's the thing. You bring out a deck of cards because it's a Mirage deck. You can spread through the cards and you can show they're all different. You can shuffle the cards and you can show that they're in no particular order. Now, that isn't just to start with, that's not the perfect ACAAN because the deck should be down on the table. So already we're completely away from burglass territory, but it's nice to be able to show the cards are all different and shuffle them, right? You then have someone pick a card. Now, there is no force. They can pick any card they want to, and you have them look at that card and remember it and put it back and you shuffle it into the pack. Now, it's not really a true ACAAN insofar as you are not having the spectator name a card. You're having them pick a card and you're having them take that card and remember it. But it is a free choice of card. From their point of view, they can touch any card. There is no force of the touch of the card. So it feels, from the audience's point of view, that they could have picked any card, but it's not like they've actually decided on the card. Now, I don't think that's a problem. I talked about creating sacrifices. For me, from a stage point of view, that's not really a problem because it actually looks quite fair. Look, touch any card. I don't want to see. I'm going to look away. Touch any card. Show everyone. Put it in the pack. We'll shuffle them. Boom. And the nice thing about the Mirage ACAAN is at this point now, I can have them name any number. So when the cards have shuffled and I've put them down on the table, I can literally have them name any number. And I can deal to that number. So from that point of view, it is a true ACAAN from the point of view of the position of the deck. Now, the problem with it, because we're using a Mirage deck, we can't turn every single card face up. We have to deal them face down. Now, we can show the card on either side of the card that they've picked is different. And from a psychological point of view, they feel like they've seen all of the cards are different because before you show them the card at their position, you pick up all of the cards and you spread them and you show them. And the theatre behind it is very good. And the choreography of the routine is very good. And then the card will always be at the position. But it's not like you're turning the cards face up. So there's a lot of Mark Paul's points that this doesn't hit. But it gets 10th place because it is a damn good ACAAN. It really is. And it's a great one to perform on stage. The shuffling of the deck over and over again, them having pick any card, having them name any card, dealing to the card. There's a lot of theatre there. It really does feel very, very fair. So in 10th position, you've got the Mirage ACAAN, which is on the Mirage Deck project. Okay, so in 9th position, we have Forecast. Now, Forecast is on my Penguin Live. You can learn it from my Penguin Live. So I did a Penguin Live a couple of years ago, and I closed my set with this. This is called the Forecast, and it's got a similar name to another trick, which we'll talk about in a bit. But this is Forecast. Okay, so what we have here is this is a very cool way of doing an ACAAN. It really is a very cool way of doing an ACAAN, and it's very, very different to anything that you might have seen before. So the concept is that you give a deck of cards to somebody from the very, very beginning, and that deck is given to them before before you even begin. You then bring another deck of cards out, and you tell them that you're going to make a prediction. You tell them you're going to make a prediction, and then once you've made that prediction, you then have them name a card. So the choice of the card is a completely free choice. They can literally name any card they want to. So that's a big plus point for this, right? Another plus point is you've given them the cards. The deck that you give them is the deck that they're going to use to do the ACAAN. So you give them that deck at the very, very beginning. If you wanted to, you can have those cards out and on the table and out the box. That's not a problem. And you're having them name a card, right? So you're having them name any card that they want to. So they name the card. And then when they name the card, you show that your prediction is a number. Okay, so you show your prediction is a position or a number, and then they deal down to that number. And when they do deal down to that number, in the deck that they've been holding on to, the card's there. So it's really it's a free choice of a card, but a predicted choice of a number, if that kind of makes sense. There's a bit more to it than that. I don't want to really get too much into method. If you've got my Penguin Live, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, having 2 decks of cards in play is absolutely not hitting the burglass effect conditions at all. But again, it's a really great ACAAN. It really is. And the use of the 2 decks, the 2 methods cancel each other out. And I love the fact that the last thing they're going to think of or see is them picking up the deck that they've been holding on to from the beginning and dealing down to the number, and the card is at that position. It's very, very strong. So if you've got my Penguin Live, you'll see the trick on there. It's a very, very good trick. If you haven't got my Penguin Live, you can go and learn it from there. I would get it if I were you, because it's really awesome. But that is forecast. Now, the next one we're going to be looking at is the forecast ACAAN, which is different to forecast. Forecast is on my Penguin Live. The forecast ACAAN is actually on the forecast project from the 1914. Which was all routines with a memorized deck. Okay, so the next routine that I'm looking at is the forecast ACAAN from the from my forecast project from the 1914, which was all routines with a memorized deck, which should tell you the method behind this trick, in all honesty. Although the interesting thing about this is it's a memorized deck trick where you don't actually need to memorize the deck, which is kind of random, really. It's a memorized deck trick where you don't need to memorize the deck. It's kind of cool. So the idea is it's another 2 deck trick, and you give the 1 deck to the spectator. Again, I love this approach of giving the deck to the spectator at the very, very beginning. And then the other deck is kind of weird because it's got cards. It's a pack of cards, but you've written on the back of every single card. And what you've done is you've written on the back of every single card, and you've written numbers on the back of every single card, if that kind of makes sense. So you've got 52 cards. They've all got numbers, random numbers written on the back of them, and they've all got faces on the face, right? So what happens is they select 2 cards, and they select 2 cards in apparently a very, very fair way. And once they've selected the 2 cards, you then tell them that both of these cards are the same, and that there's a face and that there's a number on the back. They get to pick which card is going to represent the playing card and which card is going to represent the value. And then at that point, you have them, once they've made that decision, you have them take the deck, deal down to that position, and when they get to that position, the card at that position is the card that they've thought of. It's very strong. It's a very strong way of doing an any card at any number. It really is. Now, obviously it uses 2 decks, which is not the perfect burglass effect. But I don't mind, I talked about making sacrifices. I don't mind about that sort of thing as long as I can justify it. My justification in this sort of scenario is, look, if I ask you to name a card, you're probably going to go for a psychologically appealing card like a Queen of Hearts or an Ace of Spades. If I ask you to name a number, there's certain numbers that people gravitate towards as well. So we're going to make this completely and totally random using this deck of cards over here. So this deck of cards has got numbers on it, and it's got blah, 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 so on and so forth. So as long as you can justify it, it's a great way to do this trick, because they really kind of are having a free choice of any card. The card is not forced in any way. And technically, they're having a free choice of any number. The way that this works is really kind of interesting, to be perfectly honest, and works really, really well. And then obviously, once you've got those, you then show, sorry, the card, I'm going mad. The numbers aren't on the backs of the cards, the numbers are on the face. I'm so sorry about that. So, whatever. So, what's really interesting about that is they have a free choice of cards, and when they do, the 2 cards that they pick, naturally, they've had a free choice of those. So it feels like they've had a free choice of card, and it feels like they've had a free choice of number. And they even have that extra final choice where they can choose which one's going to represent the card and which one's going to represent the number. And then the really beautiful thing about this is they take the deck, they open up the cards themselves, they deal down to that number, and when they do, the card at that number is the card that they generated at the number that they generated themselves. So again, it's not a true ACAAN. It is a true ACAAN. It's absolutely a true ACAAN. It's not the true burglass effect because they're not naming a card. They're not naming a number. But it's a really great way to do it. I love the theatre behind this. I love handing that deck out at the very beginning and having this deck of cards and having it, having them pick from it. It's really strong. And it's also, by the way, a great way to learn the memorised deck, because it's a way of doing a memorised deck where you don't actually need to memorise the deck of cards, which is really fun. So that is the forecast ACAAN. Now we're going to look at a different variation of this. So this is a variation of that exact same method, but done in a very, very different way. And this is called the Boombox ACAAN. This was published on Boombox, which was an incredible utility device by Andrew Niner that I was asked by Penguin Magic to kind of front and host. Let's have a look at that.
So we've got a couple of the next cards.
Nice.
One red, one blue. We are going to take the red ones. Okay. And you can have a look through those. All there, all different. 52 cards, 52 possibilities. Exactly. So we're going to pop those over there for now, and then we are going to use these ones. Now, these ones are a blue deck of cards, as you can see. They differ quite drastically from the red ones in the fact that this one's blue.
Yes.
Excellent. Just to make sure we're on the same page. And the other thing that differs drastically is on every single one of these cards, I shuffled them up and then wrote 1 to 52. Why did I write 1 to 52, Jack?
Because there's 52 cards.
Because there's 52 cards. 1 to 52, a different number on each one of the cards.
Nice.
Okay?
Yep.
In big green numbers. What I want you to do is take those cards. I want you to give them a shuffle. Any way you see fit. Have you been practicing?
Why would I be practicing?
Because you work for a magic company.
But I'm not a magician.
Yeah, but you could get a shuffle down.
You'd think.
But apparently not. Okay, I don't want to touch them, so you hold on to the cards. Okay, so what I need you to do is go through the cards, take out any 2 cards. They don't have to be from the same position. You can take 2 cards from anywhere in the deck and put them face down. One there and one there.
Okay.
Boom. And boom. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to take these cards, put them into this box for a second. What I need you to do is look at the rest of those cards. Just have a look over, show everybody else, make sure everybody there is seeing the same thing. They're all completely different, and they've all got different numbers on them. You can clarify that for anybody that can't see, right?
Yep, I can clarify that.
Perfect. So we're going to pop those back here. You don't need those for now. And then we are going to take these 2 cards that you chose.
Yep.
And we're going to do something miraculous with them.
Ooh.
Are you excited?
Just can't hide it.
Think you're about to lose control and you think you like it. Okay, right. So one of these cards is going to be the actual card that we're going to find.
Yeah.
The other card is going to be the position of the card in that deck.
Nice.
Okay, so that's been there for the whole time from the very start.
Yep.
You've chosen these 2 at random. This is your next decision. Which one you can choose which one you want. So which one do you want to be the card? Which one do you want to be the position in the deck?
That card, that position.
That's the card.
Yep.
So the card we are looking for is the 7 of spades.
Nice.
The position in the deck is 14.
Got it.
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Are you steady? Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
That's the card?
That is the card.
Nice.
So the Boombox ACAAN is great, and the reason the Boombox ACAAN is so good is because, again, you've got a free choice of. It's very similar in that you've got 2 decks of cards, and one deck is given out at the very, very beginning, and the second deck has numbers on the cards, and they use that deck to generate a random card in a random position. The cool thing about there's 2 things that really is a big plus for the Boombox method. The first is the cards can be shuffled completely by the spectator. So the boombox cards, so to speak, can be shuffled as much as you want them to be shuffled. They can be mixed up, they can be shuffled, the spectator can shuffle them, and they can literally take any 2 cards. Second of all, the deck that's given to the spectator at the beginning is not a memorized deck. It's actually only got a couple of cards in a particular position. So you can use a regular deck of cards and just move those cards into the position that you need them in when you go into this routine, which makes it really fair. And it means that you can do it in the context of a longer card routine. So you can do your favourite card routine, prepare the deck openly in front of the audience, put the deck down on the table, bring out this second deck, have them use it to generate a card in a position, and then obviously the card will appear at the position. They can deal through the cards. They feel like they've had a free choice of card. They feel like they've had a free choice of number. They are dealing to that number. That deck has not changed the order at all, and it's always going to work. And it obviously uses the switch that's built into the boombox to be able to make that happen. There's a lot that makes this a kind of a burglass effect type routine. It's definitely a very strong ACAAN, which is why it's got to this point on the list. I don't think it's the perfect ACAAN for a few different reasons. One of which is it's 2 decks of cards. And again, you know, that can be a problematic. I know some people don't want to use 2 decks of cards. Second of all, people don't want to use cards that have writing on them. I have no problem with that, as you know if you've studied my work. And also you're having to do a switch. Now the switch is completely motivated and the boombox makes the switch super easy, but there is still a switch in place. And because of that, they're always going to end up with 1 of 2 cards and 1 of 2 positions. But it's a very strong ACAAN. It's a really great ACAAN and a really great approach to the plot and a kind of an interesting evolution from the forecast ACAAN. But it's not the perfect burglass effect, but it's close. And hopefully by now you're seeing on this list, my approach when I go to create any card trick, especially an ACAAN, I like to think of various different ways of doing it. You're looking at these and you're seeing lots of different ways of achieving an any card at any number. The next one on the list, which is 6th on the list, is one of my favourites because me and Lloyd put this together ourselves. Lloyd Barnes and myself put this together, and this is called the Infinity ACAAN, and it's part of the Infinity Deck project. Let's have a look at this. So we're going to go 1 step further, okay?
Okay.
You look very confused, but we're going to go 1 step further. I'm going to take some of the cards out. We'll put some over there out of the way, okay? And we're going to use these. I'm not too sure how many are here, but we'll take about half. Perfect. We'll take about there. So we're going to take this to the next level. We'll put those over there for a minute, okay?
Okay.
And let's do some more shuffling. Do you want to shuffle that packet? You look so confused.
I am confused. I don't
Good.
get it.
And then I want you to shuffle these.
Okay.
You got that?
Most unprofessional shuffle in the world. But
You're doing
they're
great.
definitely shuffled.
You're doing great. So you're going to make all the decisions now. So we've got 2 packets of cards, right? Mm-hmm. Mixed up by you. Mm-hmm. I want you to take, I don't know, about half the cards and cut them over here. It's up to you however many, but you know, about that many. Great, and do the same with this packet over here. And it's important that you make all the choices. So we've got 4 packets now. Turn one of those over. It's up to you which one. And turn one of those over. Now, to be clear, we're going to shuffle the face-up packet on this side into the face-down packet on this side and vice versa. So do you want to change everything over again, or are you happy the way you are? Well, you do. Okay, thanks for helping there. Okay, so we'll shuffle these in, yes?
Okay.
So these will get mixed up. You didn't give me many cards there, but it's fine. And we'll do the same here, and we'll shuffle these in like that. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, we're going to mush the whole thing together. We're going to turn one of these packets over. It's up to you which one. Are you sure? Okay. And we'll mix these just like that. So you shuffled and shuffled and shuffled and you mixed up these cards into a completely random position and order, right? Some of the cards are face up, some of the cards are face down. Mr. Cameraman coming really close to see this. Here's what we're going to do. I don't know which cards are face up, which cards are face down, because you were shuffling throughout this whole thing even before, so I don't know what the images are. But I said this is a creativity deck. So using this creativity deck, a lot of the time, you look for inspiration. So I want to do something to do with playing cards right now. So I want you to look through the face-up cards. You can do this yourself. And I want you to see if you can find a playing card in the face-up cards. And then what we'll do is we'll flip them over and look at the cards on the other side, and we'll use them to try and create a number. So have a look through these. Do you see, like this was shuffled face up? I don't know if that could make a playing card.
If it can make a playing
Yeah,
card.
see if you can make a playing card. Like, are there any of these face up cards that you could use to make a...
Oh, hold on. You could use a king.
Okay, a king could work. A king could work. Let's have a look.
That's a diamond, right?
I suppose a diamond would work.
King of diamonds.
King of diamond. Is there anything else you could make here? I don't think so. I think we've only got a king of diamonds, haven't we? But depending on which you went with, like I saw some other, I saw some over there, some other cards that would make a playing card. Like here, you've got a spade.
Spade.
That would be maybe an eight of
spades.
clubs or an eight of spades or something. I don't know.
Oh, there's loads of numbers in that one.
Okay, yeah, we got quite a few. A queen would be a quite.
Queen.
The point is, depending on how you shuffle these and the decisions you made, you could have ended up with anything. We ended up with a king of diamonds, right?
Yeah.
And I said we were going to use these to make a number. Let's look to see if there are any numbers, because there were numbers over here, but we were using the other side to make numbers. So I don't think that's a number, really, is it? I know an ace is worth 1 or 11, but I don't know if that counts. This one.
11, 7.
So what's 11 and 7?
18.
Oh.
8.
So what would that be?
26.
26. So there's
26.
not really any of the numbers. But again, if we'd mixed this up slightly
What are we
differently,
doing?
that's a 15, right? That's a 15.
Yeah.
That's a 35. We had a 21.
825.
So the point is, through the choices that you made and through the shuffling that you did,
Yeah.
we ended up with a 26
26.
and a king of diamonds.
King of diamonds.
Now, do you remember that when I first started this entire process, I said to you, I'm going to give you a pack of cards and I'm never going to touch it?
There's no way.
Take the cards.
There's no way.
Take the cards.
If I swear to God, if the King of Diamonds is in position 26, I'm quitting.
It could be. Take the cards.
There's no
I don't want to touch them.
way.
Hold them as if you're about to deal. And deal 25 cards face up onto the table. Out loud.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24,
25. Oh, look, there's a blue card in the 26th position. Don't look at it just yet. Put it there. Are there any other blue cards in the pack?
Oh, are you kidding me?
I think that would be the only one. Do you see a king of diamonds?
No, I do not.
Just think about this. You shuffled this pack
Oh my
throughout.
God.
You can look at it with a fine-tooth comb later on. You'll see loads of different numbers that you can make, loads of different possible combinations of playing cards. But you yourself shuffled and found the king of diamonds at 26. This is a blue card. It was in the 26th position.
Oh my God.
So, that was the Infinity deck. ACAAN, or the Infinity ACAAN. And this is just a completely bonkers method for retrieving any card at any number. It really is. And the reason it's such a bonkers method is because it's using a picture deck. And I remember when we were putting the Infinity deck together, and I said to Lloyd, you know what? This would be perfect for an any card at any number. And he laughed and he was like, only you could put an any card at any number into a picture deck. But then when I explained the concept to him and I explained how we were going to go along that route, he was like, oh, this is really clever. This is genius. And it is a really clever way of achieving an ACAAN, because you're using this picture deck and you're using Simon Aronson's shuffleboard principle to engineer a scenario where the spectator really does feel like they're having a free choice of card and a free choice of position in the deck. And the beautiful thing is you can show multiple times that the card that's at that position in the deck, the card that they've generated and the number that they've generated is totally random, and they could have gone in a completely different direction. I've never seen an approach to an ACAAN like this before. And again, it uses 2 decks of cards because it uses a picture deck and it uses a regular deck. But the beautiful thing is the regular deck is just put to one side at the beginning. You just put that to one side at the beginning. You say, we're going to get back to that. This doesn't feel like a card trick. And this is done as part of a longer routine with the Infinity deck. So you're doing a bunch of stuff with the Infinity deck, and then at some point you kind of do this and people realize, oh, hang on. Whoa, this is really? This is what? Are you joking me? And it's kind of that sort of thing where you just go, no, that can't happen. That's not right. That's not possible. And it's really cool. Now, cons is it's always going to be the same card, although you can change it around if you want to. But if you're working from a stack, it's always the same card. It's always the same position in the deck. That's the negative. It's also a positive because it means that when you do this ACAAN, you can have a blank deck if you wanted to. You can have a blank deck and you can have one card that's printed and that's the card, and you can have it in the position that you know they've apparently freely chosen, and it can even have a different coloured back. So it's quite strong. It's actually really strong. But in order to get it's not the sort of thing where you would just bring out a picture deck and bring out a deck of cards and you go, right, we're going to do a trick called ACAAN and go into it. It needs to be part of a longer routine because as you're building up to this, the structure of the routine becomes more and more impossible. But still, I'm very, very proud of this method. I'm proud of taking Simon Aronson's shuffleboard concept, combining it with a picture deck to create an any card at any number. I mean, it's mental when you think about it, but I know a lot of people who have bought the Infinity deck and they say that the ACAAN on there is one of their favourite approaches to an ACAAN. And that's why it's on this list at number 6. Now at number 5, we're going to look at a routine that I put on the Evoke project. Let's have a look at this. Okay, so we're into the top 5 now, and this is any emotion at any age. And I'll tell you now, this is probably the only ACAAN that Matt Cluley likes. And I remember showing him this, and I think one of the reasons is it doesn't feel like an ACAAN. A lot of the time when you see people present an ACAAN, they kind of present it in the way of, well, let me tell you a story about David Burglass. He was a magician and blah, 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 and the Burglass effect and blah, blah, blah. So we're going to try and replicate this now, blah, blah, blah. And it's okay, but everyone uses the same presentation. But if you can have a reason for them naming a card and you can have a reason for them naming a number, then even better. And that's what the Evoke ACAAN does, because you're using not a deck of cards. And this is one of the reasons why I love playing cards that aren't playing cards, because it allows you to make your routines mean more. And this is the perfect example. So, you know, you're having somebody think of an emotion that they felt when they were a kid, and you're having them think of the age that they were when they felt that emotion. And then you're having them take the emotion out, show everybody, put it back in, shuffle it in themselves, and then once they've shuffled it in with no moves, you just deal down to their age that they were. When you get to that card that's at the age that they were, it's the emotion they were thinking of, and as a bonus, you can even tell them the emotion before you've turned it over because of Phil Smith and his genius marking system. So it's an ACAAN. It doesn't feel like an ACAAN. Now, from a methodology point of view, it's not a perfect ACAAN by any stretch of the imagination, because you're having them. They've got a free choice of an emotion, but they have to take it out the pack, right? But they are having a free choice of any emotion. So you say, think of a memory, think of an emotion that was attached to it, take that emotion out and show it to everybody. So it is a free choice of an emotion, but the perfect ACAAN would not have you take that emotive card out. You then have a free choice of any number, because they can genuinely have that card. They're genuinely thinking of the age that they were when that emotion took place, and they are genuinely shuffling those cards into the pack, and you genuinely are just dealing down to that position after they've finished shuffling. And when you're dealing, you are turning cards over one by one. They can see every card, but they can't deal the cards themselves. So there's a few different reasons why this is not the perfect ACAAN. It's not a free choice of card. It's not a free choice of number. There's a few different reasons. Well, it is a free choice of card and number, but it's not what I've said. Think of an emotion. Think of an age. Well, they are thinking of an age, but you get what I mean. But I think this is one of my favourite ACAANs, simply because it is so emotive. It doesn't feel like a card trick. And that kind of sums up the whole Evoke project as a whole, to be honest. It doesn't feel like a card trick. It feels like something else. I can do an ACAAN to somebody and then do this, and I will get a very, very, very different reaction. So that's why this is at position 5. Now, position 4 is a similar trick, not in terms of methodology, but in terms of trying to make an ACAAN mean something more than just a card appearing at a number. And we'll have a look at this one next. Unfortunately, I can't show you footage of this one, and the reason is this is off my new Murphy's release that will be coming out soon, called Focus. Now, Focus is a deck of cards designed by me and Phil Smith, and it's all based around movies. And I'm not allowed to show any performance footage until it's been announced and it's been released, and the trailer at least has dropped. So I can't perform it for you. But there's two different versions of the ACAAN on the project. And the first version of the ACAAN, well, it doesn't really matter. There's two different versions. Methodology isn't important. They're both really easy. What's important is it's, again, very, very interesting. Now, the thing with Evoke is it's very emotive. It'll make people cry. It makes people get in touch with their feelings when they were a child. Focus is a little like Evoke, but fun, because you're talking about movies, but still people react emotionally to movies. So the plot with Focus, or the Focus ACAAN, is you're having somebody think of a movie, and you're having them imagine that they have a movie theatre, and how many people would they like to invite around their movie theatre for a party night where they're gonna have a movie screening, and they're gonna play the movie they're thinking of. So it becomes very, very interesting. It's not a card at a number. We're not referencing David Burglass. We're not talking about the ACAAN plot or the Burglass effect. We're not doing any of that. It's another example of saying, right, okay, so what is ACAAN? Well, it's a card and it's a number. How can we mean that more to how can we make that mean something more to the spectators? Well, we can do that by having them think of a film. People love films. We watch films all of the time. We react emotionally to films. I love using the focus deck, because I'll have somebody take a film and I'll go, "Are you happy with that one?" And we're like, no, I want a different one, because nobody would ever do that with a playing card, but they do that with a film, because films mean more to people than playing cards. So when you're having somebody think of a film, and you're also having somebody think of a movie theatre and inviting friends around, it becomes very, very different, right? And then you're having them deal down. They deal down. That's cool. They deal down to the number of friends they've invited, and the film there is the one that they have thought of. And the method is great, and it is a free choice of the amount of people they're inviting around, and it's a free choice of movie as well, actually. And there's a lot that makes this the Burglass effect, but there's also elements of it that don't. I'm being a little cagey just because I'm not allowed to talk about this. Probably if Murphy sees this video, I'm going to be in trouble as it is. Although this might go out when Focus has been announced, I don't know. But I'm covering my bases. But this is this is one of my favourite ways of doing ACAAN at the moment in a walk-around situation, because people just love movies. It's a great hook. And, it's brilliant just turning around and say, you know what? Have you ever wanted your own home theatre? You have. I want to imagine for a minute you've got your own home theatre, okay? Now let's see if we can take this one step further. Yeah, so that's the Focus ACAAN. It's very, very cool. Two different versions of the project. You'll hear more about that. But now we're into the top three. What's in third place? Not just any card trick, Matt. This is the greatest card trick of all time.
I know it.
No, it's not the 21 card trick, Matt.
The greatest card trick of all time is Contact Colours by Aldo Conabini.
No, it's not. But
yes, it is.
But this is officially the greatest trick of all time, because I bought it and it came with these instructions where I get to show you genuinely the greatest trick of all time. If I follow
steps for performing an amazing card trick. It doesn't say the best card trick of all time. Yeah, but it says an amazing card trick.
Yeah, but the packaging said the best card trick of all time. And I haven't tried this out yet, but I thought we could follow along together and we could learn the best card trick of all time.
Okay.
Sound good? So there's 7 simple steps. And step 1 is allow your helper, that's you are the helper.
I'm a helper.
Would you like me to get you a little lanyard with helper on it?
No.
Okay. So step 1, allow your helper, that's you, to shuffle the cards.
Allow me to?
Yes.
I do feel privileged.
Well, there you go. You can shuffle the cards. Now, don't check that they're normal. I'm joking, you can. I don't know if this is going to work or not, because apparently it's going to work, but who the fuck knows? Are we good? Take your time. Got to get that ad revenue.
What is the ad revenue limit?
10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
10 minutes and we get like 3 pence.
Yeah.
I know. Are we good?
Yeah.
Yeah, give me those. Oh, hang on. Next bit's yours as well. Step 2, have them, that's you, the helper, have them take out any card and show it to the audience. Mike and the audience at home. So spread them out. Have a look. Yeah, pick anyone you want to. Just don't let me see. I'll look this way.
I'm not even going to pick one. I'm just going to...
Randomly get one.
Yeah.
Okay. Take it out. Let me have the rest of the cards. There you go. Have you remembered it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So step 3, take the card and shuffle it back into the pack. Can you hold that for a minute? Just pop the card back there. And we'll leave it here. And we will shuffle it into the pack, and we'll give them one of these as well, just to make sure that that card is completely lost in the deck. Right, what's the next point? Have someone else think of a number from 1 to 52.
There's only in here.
That'll be you then, mate. Can you think of a number from 1 to 52?
Yeah.
You got one?
Yeah.
Don't tell me. Next point, have the card shuffle again. Can you shuffle them again?
You want me to shuffle the cards?
Well, that's what it says there. Step 5, have the card shuffled again. You done? Well, keep going. That'll make it more impossible, won't it? Yeah. Good. Step 6, ask your helper to deal to the chosen number. What was the number?
It was 16.
16. Right, so deal 15 cards onto the table, one at a time. 1, 2. No, face up. Tell me if you see your card, because if you have, it's gone wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Stop. So this is the 16th card at this point. Just look at the 17th for a minute. Was that your card?
No.
Look at the 18th. You get the point. Last one. Reveal that the selected card is that the chosen number. Think about this for a minute. You shuffled. You took any card. He picked any number. One card and one card only in that position. Right there, the 9 of spades. Was that your card?
That was my card.
At that position in the deck. That's amazing. And there you go. So in third place, we have Destiny Deal. Now, Destiny Deal got released about 3 months ago from Penguin Magic. It has been in their top 20 world bestsellers since then. It has become my second best-selling trick of 2024 through Penguin Magic, which is insane, especially as when it was first released, the cafe did what they do best, and they were quite negative about it because people thought I was just doing a double lift, which I'm not. This is probably my favourite ACAAN to do. No, it's not probably. This is my favourite ACAAN to do when I've just got a deck of cards on me. If I've not got a gimmick deck of cards and I've just got a deck of cards on me, this little instruction card that you get with it will always be tucked under the cellophane, and it will always be with me because it allows me to do an ACAAN anytime, anywhere, and it makes it almost completely self-working because the card that's gimmick does all the work for you. But also, the plot is interesting. If there's one thing that I hope you've kind of got from this, my approach to ACAAN isn't just about technically how can I do an any card at any number. It's about how can I present it and make it more interesting. You look at the Infinity deck and it's all about images, and it's all about relating images to playing cards and numbers. You look at the you look at the Evoke ACAAN, it's all about recapturing a memory from your past. You look about the Focus ACAAN, and it's all about having people connect to a movie and using their imagination to think of a movie theatre they're inviting friends to, which allows you to go in so many different directions from both a magic and a mentalism point of view. Well, Destiny Deal is all about my favourite hook line. You want to see how tricks are done? Let's learn it together. I've always loved that ever since the Vanishing Bandana. Ever since the Vanishing Bandana, the first time I saw somebody go, hey, let's learn this trick together. I've got the instructions. Let's do it. What do you think? Ever since I saw that, I fell in love with that plot because people inherently want to know how magic works. And so when you come out and you say, well, you know what? I've got this new trick. I haven't learned it yet. Would you like to learn it together with me? Yeah, okay, let's do this. And you've just got this one card that can be examined, but it's gimmicked, and it's there just tucked under the cellophane, and the rest of the deck is regular, and you can go into this at any point in your act. This is honestly, I'm so proud of this. It's one of my most commercial routines, I think. And I love the plot, I love the hook, and I also love the fact that it feels like a real ACAAN. It feels, even though it's not. So first of all, the deck is examined. Second of all, they can literally think of any card. And then you tell them to think of a card, and then, you say, take it out and show it to everybody as per the instructions on the card. You then have somebody else think of any number, and you say, don't tell me the number. You then have them shuffle the cards again. You then have them deal down to the number, and when they deal down to the number, the card at that number is their card, and it works every single time, and everything's examinable from a shuffled deck of cards in use. Now, is it the perfect burglass effect? No, because the deck is not put down on the table. They're taking the card out once they've named it. They're shuffling the cards numerous times. So it's not the perfect burglass effect, but I think it's close to the perfect ACAAN as far as I'm concerned, because they have a free choice of card, they have a free choice of number, they shuffle the cards, they deal through the cards themselves, the card is always at that number, and it's self-working because the gimmick card does all the work for you, but the gimmick is hidden in plain sight because the gimmick is built into the instruction card, which is the methodology for the plot that you're using, which I think is a really cool plot as well. There's a lot to love about Destiny Deal, which is why I think it's become one of my best-selling tricks of all time. So that's Destiny Deal. If you haven't got it, it's only $15. You can get it's a Penguin item, but you can get it from anybody that wholesales from Penguin, like ACAAN and Monster Magic, all of those guys you can get it from. So Destiny Deal. If you have a regular deck of cards and you want to carry a little secret weapon around with you, it's definitely the way to go. Right, that's third place. Let's look at second place. So Jack, I've got a pack of playing cards here. The box is blank, and the reason is the cards are blank. Now, there's 52 cards in the deck, but there's 51 blank cards here. 51 blank cards, one card that's printed. Now, the one card that's printed is the Jack of Hearts. It's actually got a red back. Your job is to try and work out where it is. Now, it's not at the top, it's not at the bottom, it's somewhere in the middle. That's all I'm telling you. That's the only advice that you're getting. My job is to try and influence you to try and work out what position the card's in. So, 52 cards in the deck. When I snap my fingers, name a position.
25.
25. Now, are you sure? Because you can change your mind if you want to. I don't want you saying later on, Craig made you pick 25. It's totally up to you.
I'll go with that. Well, it's my age, so I thought good age.
Okay, 25. So I'm going to deal 25 cards onto the table.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn them over one at a time so you can see there are actually 25 cards there. Remember, I told you it was the Jack of Hearts, red back.
Yep. Somewhere
You think in the 25th position. Are you sure?
Yep. Okay.
So 1, 2, and again, I just want to confirm one more time. I don't want you saying I'm cheating. 25, yeah?
25.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Isn't this exciting? 11, 12.
Just go and hide it.
13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. It's going well so far. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25th card. One card printed with a red back in the 25th position. All the other cards are blank completely on both sides. Have a look at all of that. That is the trick. So in second place, we have the Quantum deck. And you know, the Quantum deck kicked up a lot of fuss when people first picked it up. There are people that absolutely rave about the Quantum deck. Most people do, to be perfectly honest. I've seen more people perform the Quantum deck on television than any of my other tricks that I have ever released. I see so many people performing the Quantum deck on TV. And I think one of the reasons for that is the theatre behind it. My thought process with the Quantum deck was very, very specific. I was trying to hit the conditions of having a deck down on the table and literally picking up and dealing to that position, and the card appeared at that position. I didn't want to do any sort of I didn't want to do any sort of switch of the cards or anything like that. I wanted them to name a number, and I wanted the card to be at that number. Now, there are ways on the tutorial of making it an ACAAN, but honestly, the Quantum deck is a can. It's a card at any number. Because you tell them, I've got a card in this position, I've got a card in this deck, it's the only printed card in the deck, name a number, I'm going to deal to that number. Now, what's really interesting about this is that, and I don't know if if you do the Quantum deck, tell me if this is one of your favourite things as well. Because the entire deck is blank, when you're dealing through, and let's say they've said 15, for example, when you get to like 13, they can see that there's one printed card coming into view. And then when you get to 15, you see it's their card. It's almost like creates anticipation before the fact. I love the fact that it's very commercial. It's an instant reset. Despite what Luke Dancy will have you believe, it is completely examinable. And I know that was the big controversial thing behind the quantum deck. But I would go and do this to anybody, I'd go to any bar anywhere in the world and do this, and I'd just hand them the deck and say, hey, examine this, have a look at it. And they could, and they wouldn't find anything. It's a great trick, it really is. And it fulfilled a lot of what I wanted to achieve when I was trying to put together the perfect ACAAN, insofar as the deck is unboxed, tick. It's on the table from the beginning, tick. They name any number, tick. The trouble is, there's a range, and I don't have an issue with that, and I can always get people within range. But if it's outside of the range, you have to do a little bit of a move before you start dealing, and that doesn't make it the perfect ACAAN. In all honesty, I think it's close to the perfect ACAAN, but there shouldn't be a move that happens at 20% of the time or something, or however much it is. If somebody names a position and it's more than the range and you have to do something, I've got no problem doing that. And to be honest, hardly ever does anybody go out of range, but it's still something to bear in mind. And also you have to deal through the cards yourself. But you know, it's a great trick to do on stage. It's a great trick to do close up. I love performing it. I do the quantum deck all of the time. It's amazing. I will still say it's one of my favourite tricks that I've ever created, and I speak to so many people that perform it. It's weird because it's one of those tricks that some people just hated me because they perceived I was lying, which I wasn't. But if you look at how many people actually do the quantum deck, you realise just how popular and how commercial it is. Which brings us to number one. So in first place, I cannot do a performance of this either because this is not out. It will be out early next year. But I've been working on this for 3 years with some very clever, intelligent people. This is called the Atomic Deck, and it is the sequel to the Quantum Deck. What is the Atomic Deck? Well, it is, as far as I'm concerned, the closest we will ever get to the burglass effect. Now, if I say too much about this, honestly, Murphys will kill me. I will be shouting about this from the rooftops. It's took me 3 years to get to this point where I now have a trick that I believe is just as perfect as it can get. I've had highs and lows. I've cried some nights trying to make this work and failing miserably. And I've got to the point where it's just amazing. I did the Newmarket Magic Shindig the other week, and I opened up by doing the quantum deck, the Atomic Deck, to about 100 people in the gala show. The gala show opened with me doing a performance of the Atomic Deck. Nobody had heard of it before. Nobody knew what it was, and I did it, and I had people, magicians, really, really, really knowledgeable magicians, coming up to me in the interval going, please tell me that was a stooge, because if that wasn't a stooge, that's impossible. It hits every condition for a burglass effect. The cards are put down on the table, out the box, they're not touched. You have somebody think of a card, they never tell you the card. You have somebody, they can either think of a position or they can tell you the position, it doesn't really matter. There is absolutely no, you're not forcing them in any way, you're not psychologically forcing them in any way. They think of a card, they think of a number. You then deal down to that card, to that position, and they still haven't told you the card, and when you turn it over, it's their card. They still don't have to tell you the card, you can just turn it over. And it gets, the more people you perform it to, the better it gets. It's brilliant one-on-one. It's amazing to a banquet table, but you perform it like I did at Newmarket to 100 people in the gala show, and you get every single person in the audience involved in that performance. It literally brings the house down, and you'll have magicians going, what? It hits every stipulation. They name the card, they name the number. They don't even have to tell you the card and the number. Card appears at that number. Works every single time. It's probably the best thing that I've ever done. And I'm sorry I can't show you a performance of it. If anybody was at Newmarket, or I've also performed it at the Home Market, the Home Counties Magic Society, I was lecturing at, and I did a performance there as well. If anybody's been at either of those, feel free to comment down below and tell people it's as clean as I'm saying it was. But yeah, I mean, you'll be hearing more about it as we move on, but yeah, it's very, 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 very strong. And as I say, to have numerous magicians going, it's a stooge, right? It's a stooge. I had somebody just a very, very knowledgeable magician, I don't know who it is, saying, look, I know it's a stooge. You can tell me the truth. It's a stooge. It's not a stooge. I've had a magician offer me a lot of money to not market it and instead give them the rights to perform it on TV shows and stuff. I said no. I love this trick. I'm so sorry. You know, I'm very open on Magic TV. Open to the point that if Murphy's watched this video and realise I'm even talking about this bloody thing, they're probably going to kill me. But I can't perform it just yet. I can't. I'm doing it live everywhere. If you see me at a Magic convention, I'll have it on me. Ask me to do the Atomic Deck. If you see me at a lecture, I'm always doing it in my lecture now as a performance-only piece. But I can't do it on the internet just yet. But I think that I've cracked the burglass effect, or as come close as anybody ever has, and I've hit all the stipulations. So, you know, we'll see what people think. But I've been using this now for 3 years. It took me 3 years to get to this point. And it's how I'm closing my stage routines, by the way. I took out Toxic Plus from my act. I love Toxic Plus. Anyone who's seen my live shows will know. I took Toxic Plus out of my stage show and I put this in instead because it's more interactive. An ACAAN that you can do to 100 people. Who knew, right? So there you go. That's number one. That is the best Craig Petty ACAAN, I think. That's your top 10 list right there. So it's over to you now, guys. I want to know what you think. What do you think? Let me know. Let me know. Bring it on. Let me know. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Inquiring minds want to know. How many of those have you seen? Do you think that there's another ACAAN of mine that you've seen that should have made the list? There are a lot that came close. The Svengali ACAAN didn't even make the list. And, you know, I know a lot of people love the Svengali ACAAN. The any name, any number, and any card didn't make the ACAAN, where you literally have someone think of a name, think of a card, think of a number, and the card appears at that number and it's got the person's name on it. That didn't appear on here as well. There's lots of different versions that didn't make it on here. But this is what I think to be my definitive list, top 10 list. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now, more importantly, or just as important, if you want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. I'm going to be back again soon with another video, so make sure you look out for that. If you haven't already done so, please join the Netrix, www.thenetrix.com. It's my online streaming platform for magicians. You can get access immediately and see what all the fuss is about. But I will see you again soon. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Craig, and this is Magic TV.